Gyms are supposed to be places where we push our limits, get stronger, and chase that next fitness goal. But sometimes things take a dark turn. Whether it's a freak accident, a tragic mistake, or someone ignoring the warning signs, there have been moments where a workout ended in the worst way possible. In this video, we're diving into 5 of the most disturbing gym deaths ever recorded. The kind of stories that make you think twice before loading that barbell or skipping your warm-up. It was an afternoon in West Kalimantan, Indonesia, June 18, 2024. In a third-floor gym packed with people chasing their fitness goals, 22-year-old FN showed up ready to get in her usual workout. She was joined by her boyfriend and younger sibling. FN had a passion for staying active. Working out made her feel alive. That day, despite her boyfriend's gentle suggestion to stay on the second floor, FN chose the third. She had no idea that this small, simple decision would change everything. She hopped on the treadmill and started running. 30 minutes passed. Her pace was steady, controlled. Surveillance footage from that day later revealed FN's treadmill was near the end of the row, uncomfortably close to a large window. Just 60 centimeters separated her from the glass, with a wall barely 30 centimeters high, offering almost no barrier between the treadmill and open air. As she began to wind down and slow to a walk, something went wrong. Maybe she misstepped. Maybe her foot caught the belt. But the treadmill didn't stop. It pulled her. She stumbled. Her body jerked back, trying to regain balance, but it was too late. She reached desperately for the window frame, fingers clawing for something solid, but her grip failed. In a horrifying instant, FN fell backward, straight through the open window. Gone. FN was rushed to the hospital. She had suffered catastrophic injuries, especially to her head. Despite doctors' efforts, she didn't make it. The trauma was just too much. As the shock settled in, investigators quickly turned their focus on the gym itself. Why was a treadmill placed so dangerously close to a window? Why was there almost no protective barrier? And why was that window even open? What they uncovered made things even worse. The window wasn't supposed to be open at all during gym hours. A warning sticker meant to remind people to keep it shut was damaged, barely readable. Even worse, the personal trainer who should have been monitoring the area had stepped away. He wasn't there when it mattered most. FN's death wasn't just a tragic accident. It was a warning, a loud, gut-wrenching siren that screamed how quickly the pursuit of health can turn into heartbreak when safety is overlooked. People go to gyms to build strength, to feel better, to heal, not to die. As the days passed, the gym shut down for 3 days, issuing an apology to FN's grieving family. But for many, it wasn't enough. The public's outrage grew louder. This didn't need to happen. It was preventable. And FN, young, vibrant FN, deserved better. Local authorities began calling for change. Tighter regulations, stricter rules for how gyms are built, how machines are placed, and how safety is maintained. Because if something like this could happen once, it could happen again. It was September 26, 2017, in Brisbane, Australia. For 15-year-old Ben Shaw, this was routine, something he looked forward to. Fitness wasn't just a hobby, it was his way of life. He walked into the Pine River's PCYC gym, like he had many times before, determined and focused. But that day would end in tragedy. Ben was working out alone. He set himself up under a barbell, nearly 100 kilograms, about 216 pounds. A massive lift for someone his age, but Ben was determined. He'd pushed himself before. This wasn't new. What no one knew was how fast things could spiral. In a sudden moment, the bar slipped. It came crashing down on his neck, trapping him under the crushing weight. No one to hear the sound of metal hitting flesh. Ben lay there, helpless, for what's believed to be nearly 30 agonizing minutes. Eventually, another gym member walked in. The silence struck him first. Then he saw Ben, motionless, trapped beneath the bar. Panic hit. He rushed over, lifted the weight off Ben's neck and shouted for help. 2 employees sprinted to the scene and began CPR. An ambulance was called. Paramedics arrived and rushed Ben to Lady Salento Children's Hospital. But the damage was done. The injury to Ben's neck was catastrophic. Doctors worked around the clock. 4 days later, on October 1st, 2017, his family made the unthinkable decision to take him off life support. Surrounded by those who loved him, Ben took his final breath. The shock rippled through the community like an earthquake. No one could believe it. A young, healthy athlete, gone in an instant. His teammates, the Pine Central Holy Spirit Hornets, paid tribute to the boy whose determination and kindness had lit up the field. Investigation was launched. Queensland Health Minister Cameron Dick, along with Workplace Health and Safety Queensland, began to dig into what went wrong. The gym's rules were clear. Anyone under 16 had to be supervised when using weightlifting equipment. But Ben had been alone, no staff nearby, no one to help when he needed it most. CCTV footage confirmed it. The gym, run by the Police Citizens Youth Welfare Association, faced serious legal trouble. They were charged with failing to uphold safety standards, accused of creating an environment where tragedy wasn't just possible, but inevitable. The case moved to court, aiming to find accountability and prevent something like this from happening again. While the legal battle began, Ben's family was left to face a deeper, more personal war, one with grief, guilt, and unbearable loss. His mother, Dahlia Shaw, remembered her son not just as an athlete but as a boy with a generous heart. And even in death, Ben found a way to give. His organs and tissue were donated, saving lives in one final act of compassion. That's who he was, always thinking of others. So Dahlia turned pain into purpose. In memory of her son, she partnered with the charity Boots for Africa, a cause Ben had once dreamed of supporting. He'd wanted to visit Africa. He wanted to help kids there. And now, through the Boots for Ben initiative, hundreds of football boots have been sent overseas, each pair a symbol of the boy who never stopped giving, even after he was gone. Ben's story isn't just a tragedy, it's a wake-up call, a reminder of how quickly something can go wrong when safety is taken for granted, especially for young athletes just trying to better themselves. It was February 21st, 2022, a day like any other at a fitness sport gym in Mexico City. People moved through their routines. Music echoed off the walls, and the steady hum of effort filled the air. But in one corner of that gym, a decision was about to be made that would change everything. A 42-year-old woman walked in with her daughter at her side, ready for another workout. She wasn't a seasoned lifter, but that day, something drove her to attempt what even professionals think twice about: a 400-pound barbell, 4 giant plates on each side, a load that commands respect, a weight that punishes even the smallest mistake. Security footage would later reveal the moment. She stepped in the car, her stance steady, determination in her eyes. A gym-goer nearby helped adjust the weights, offering support. For a few seconds, it looked like she had it. The bar lifted off its rack, but then disaster. In an instant, everything went wrong. The bar slipped. There was no time to react, no time to shout or brace. The massive weight came crashing down on her neck, slamming her to the bench with a force no human body can withstand. The room erupted in panic. Her daughter screamed and rushed to her side. Others jumped in, desperate to help, but the barbell was too heavy. It took several people to finally lift it off her, but by then, it was too late. Paramedics arrived quickly, but there was nothing they could do. The blow had been instant, fatal, and right there, in the middle of a gym meant to strengthen the body, a daughter watched the most important person in her life slip away in seconds. The footage, now seen by thousands, captures the haunting silence that followed. The shock, the help, the disbelief etched into every face. That moment burned itself into the memory of everyone who was there. Word of the tragedy spread fast. It gripped the public, stirring horror. Why was she lifting that much weight? Where was the supervision? Could this have been prevented? These weren't just questions for the gym. They were questions for all of us. An investigation began almost immediately. The gym owner was briefly detained to confirm her identity, though not charged. The focus shifted to safety measures, to the protocols in place, or the lack of them. Was it just a freak accident or the result of negligence? The answers didn't come quickly. People online and in the fitness world began to argue. Should someone have stepped in before she even attempted the lift? Did she know what she was doing? Was she pressured to prove herself? Behind every theory, there was a painful truth no one could deny. That lift should have never happened. For her daughter, the questions don't matter as much as the memory, the sound of metal crashing, the stillness afterward, the helplessness. It's the kind of trauma that burrows deep, that lingers long after the cameras stop rolling and the gym reopens. It's not something you recover from, it's something you carry. This tragedy ripped away the illusion that gym is safe. We can go wrong, that a single mistake with a barbell, a single moment of misjudged strength can end a life. It wasn't just an accident. It was a reminder, sharp and brutal, that the pursuit of strength must never come at the cost of safety, and that behind every weight lifted, there must be awareness, guidance, and respect for what could happen if things go wrong. That February day in Mexico City didn't just take a life, it left a daughter haunted, a gym community shaken, and a fitness world forced to confront a terrifying reality. It was December 2016 in Ankeny, Iowa. Cold winds swept across the quiet streets as winter settled in. But inside the Elite Edge Transformation Center, things were alive with energy. This was where people pushed themselves, where goals were chased, sweat was earned, and limits were tested. Among them was Kyle Thompson, a 22-year-old senior at Iowa State University. Fitness wasn't just a hobby for Kyle. It was a lifestyle, a discipline, a tool. He was training with purpose, sharpening himself for a future as a K-9 handler with the Des Moines Police Department. He had the drive, the focus, the heart, and he wasn't just strong physically. He had that quiet kind of strength, the kind that made people believe in him. That day, it was just another workout, another step closer to the future he'd worked so hard for. He was bench pressing 315 pounds, something well within his ability. This wasn't new territory for Kyle. He'd lifted that weight before, and he wasn't alone. A spotter stood by, watching carefully, ready to step in if needed. But then, something went wrong. No one saw it coming. One moment, Kyle was pressing the weight. The next, the bar slipped. In less than a second, 315 pounds came crashing down, straight onto his neck. The impact was immediate, devastating. Fire Chief James Clack would later say that the injury was catastrophic. The spotter reacted, but it had all happened too fast. There was no time. Chaos followed. Gym staff rushed in. Someone called 911. Paramedics arrived quickly and did everything they could. Kyle was transported to a hospital in Des Moines, but his injuries were too severe. He didn't make it. News spread like wildfire. Disbelief rippled through the gym community, the campus, the town. Kyle? No, not Kyle. The guy who always did things right. The one with the plan. The one who was supposed to be a cop, working with dogs, serving his community. Friends were stunned. Family shattered. The gym felt the loss like a gut punch. People kept asking, how? He had a spotter. He was experienced. He'd lifted that weight before. How could something like this happen? Kyle wasn't just another face in the gym. He had just completed Elite Edge's 20-pound challenge, proving once again his relentless drive. He was always pushing forward, always building something. His body, his future, his life. A former co-worker, Stephen Smith, remembered how Kyle could light up any room just by walking in. His high school football coach, Greg Sean, called him a natural leader, someone who led not by yelling, but by example. In the gym, in life, Kyle showed up. He'd slimmed down. He was in peak condition. Everything was coming together. Until that single, terrible moment. It didn't make sense, and maybe it never will, because sometimes tragedy doesn't come. Sometimes it just happens. Fast, brutal, unforgiving. Even with a spotter, even with experience, even with strength, the bar fell too quickly. There wasn't enough time. A second was all it took. The gym released a statement. You could feel the pain in their words. They weren't just a facility. They were a family. and they had lost one of their own. Questions followed. Could anything have prevented this? Should there be more safeguards, better equipment, a different setup? Kyle's accident was rare. So rare it shook even seasoned lifters. But it forced a conversation about the real dangers that come with heavy lifting, about how even the most prepared can fall victim to a single slip, a small miscalculation, a moment of bad luck. For those closest to Kyle, the loss went deeper than shock. He was so close to graduation, so close to his dream job. He loved dogs, loved law enforcement, loved the idea of serving. He was going to make a difference. And now he's gone. Kyle Thompson didn't die because he was careless. He died doing what he loved, chasing what he believed in. And in that, there's a kind of heartbreaking honor. One lift, one moment. Changed. It was August 20th, 2024, in Perth, Australia. 33-year-old Giuliano Poni arrived at his regular gym in Wanneroo. Fitness wasn't just a goal for Giuliano. It was part of who he was, a father, a fighter, a man chasing something bigger than himself. He walked in around 7:30 a.m., planning to squeeze in his workout before heading to work. It was all routine, the kind of day you never think twice about, until everything changed. Security cameras captured him mid-session on the treadmill, but something looked off, his posture, his movement. There was a subtle desperation in the way he stumbled, the way he clutched his stomach. He didn't walk away from the treadmill like he usually did. Instead, he wobbled, bumping into machines, his body betraying him in plain sight, and no one noticed. Giuliano somehow made his way to the showers, locking himself inside a cubicle. That's where he collapsed. Under the cold spray of water, his body gave out, most likely from a seizure caused by a sudden and dangerous drop in blood sugar. There he lay, alone, unseen, unconscious. Hours passed. At home, his mother died. Her son hadn't come home. He wasn't answering calls. That wasn't like him. The silence stretched too long. She called friends, family, even his ex-wife. Nothing. No sign, no word. Her worry became dread. Eventually, she called the police. They tracked his phone signal back to the gym. It was almost 10:30 p.m. when officers arrived. His car was still there, untouched. Something was wrong. They broke into the locked shower cubicle and found him. He was still under the freezing water, his body cold, lifeless, but still breathing, just barely. Police performed CPR. His heart sparked back, but the fight was slipping away. He was rushed to Joondalup Hospital, placed on life support. For 2 long weeks his family waited, hoped, prayed, but he never woke up. On September 5th, 2024, Giuliano Poni passed away. His mother's voice broke as she told the world, "I will never see the world the same way. The light that shone so bright has left me." This wasn't just a tragic accident. This was a failure of systems, of awareness, of care. He had been there, struggling, in plain sight. He had stumbled across the gym floor. He had locked himself in the showers. He had been there for 15 hours, and no one noticed, because the gym, though open 24 hours, wasn't staffed full-time. The cameras only covered certain areas. Privacy regulations kept them out of the showers. There was no one to check, no one to notice that a man hadn't left, that a car sat unmoved, that a life was slowly slipping away behind a locked door. And now a daughter is without her father, a mother is shattered, a sister is angry. They monitor members to make sure guests don't sneak in without paying, his sister Rosa said. But my brother was lying there, dying, and nobody knew. Doctors told the family the truth no parent wants to hear. If Giuliano had been found sooner, he likely would have survived. The drop in his blood sugar triggered a seizure. It wasn't instantaneous. There was time. Time unused, wasted. Daniela can't stop imagining it. Her son lying there beneath the cold water, alone, while she sat at home, unaware. The weight of that image, of those hours, is unbearable. She's called for an official inquest, demanding stronger regulations for 24-hour gyms, more staff, more frequent checks, systems that flag when someone's been inside too long. Anything to stop this from happening again. The gym where Giuliano collapsed wasn't even part of Australia's National Health and Fitness Association. That means they weren't bound to follow even voluntary safety codes. No obligation to have trained staff or basic protocols beyond the minimum legal standards. Now, investigations are underway. Police are preparing a report for the coroner. WorkSafe WA is digging into the gym's protocols, and the Premier of Western Australia has weighed in, calling for accountability. He was in a place where he should have received care, Premier Roger Cook said. And he's right. But for Giuliano's family, investigations don't bring him back. No policy change will fill the silence he left behind. His daughter will grow up with memories instead of moments. His mother will live with the ache of every minute he spent alone, every breath he could have taken if someone had just knocked on that door. He was strong, he was focused, he was building a future, and it was stolen, not by chance but by neglect.